The Toyota 4-wheel drive Land Cruiser is an infallible beast. From the driest deserts to rivers and snowy mountains, nothing can stop these simple old workhorses.
Except time and poorly designed roof structures. These old cruisers have so much going for them. They're simple, reliable, comfortable, and they look great. But the biggest downfall of the 60 Series Land Cruiser is rust in the roof. You can see it start to poke its ugly head through in a few spots on our roof. Unfortunately, this is just the tip of the iceberg. These Land Cruisers rust from the inside out, and for every 1 centimetre of rust on the outside, you can expect 10 centimetres underneath. And today we're going to show you how to fix it. So to start, I'm running a wire wheel down all the gutters to get rid of this cracked old sealant that's probably trapping water. This will also expose the rust holes that have made it through the outer layer.
I've got the Dremel out with the standard metal cutting disc, and I'm just going to slowly cut around this hole. Maybe we can use the grinder for this after all, rather than going through a bunch of these little expensive Dremel discs. And you know what that means. Another montage. You might be wondering why 60s all rust in the roof so badly, and it all comes back to Toyota's lovely design. Here's a cross section of the roof where you can see 3 pieces of metal pressed together with this nice reservoir for water to collect in and slowly erode the metal. Now, this complicated design also makes it hard to repair, since it's usually the gutter, this piece here, that starts to rust before it even shows up on the outside. So this first exploratory cut is going to show us the real condition of our roof. You might notice I'm cutting this whole section of the gutter off even though it doesn't look rusty. This is because it's easier to weld in as a whole unit rather than a weird shape where the rust was. Depending on where your rust is, you might need to drill out some spot welds too. Now, it looks like that rust on the body of the car continues down that way, even though it's not showing through the top layer. This doesn't surprise me because I've noticed that most of the rust occurs on joins, like this one here at the gutter. Oof, that's not pretty. I think we might need to cut a bit further. Also, you can see how this is the roof piece. You can see how it's rusty on the back of the roof piece, even though it looks clean on the front. So that's the issue we're dealing with here, where there's just a lot of rust behind that top layer of roof. That looks like the end of the rust on that inner piece, so now I'll just touch it with the grinder to get that spot weld off, wire wheel it away and see if there's actually a hole we need to fix or if we've gotten away scot-free this time. After having wire wheeled that, I can confidently say that there's no rust hole through that inner piece here, which is good news. So all we have to do is prime it so it doesn't rust anymore, and then fix the gutter and the outer roof skin. So we've had a look at how complex the roof structure is, and we know the rust goes through 3 separate pieces of metal: the roof, the gutter, and the actual body of the car. So are we going to fabricate these all up ourselves? No. We got a far more capable local fabricator to do it for us based on some measurements off Facebook. Unfortunately, they weren't totally correct. So we've measured again and sent off the new dimensions. While we're waiting for the steel guy to make my new gutter, it's a great time for you to subscribe to the channel. Look at that, you subscribed and now the steel's arrived. Now it's just a matter of cutting this up and fitting it exactly to our damaged areas. Since this is the roof and we plan on putting roof racks and a rooftop tent up there, and let's not lie, Zave and I add a bit of weight as well, there'll be a fair bit of strain on these. This increases the risk of any body filler cracking, which is why we want to get our welds as perfect as possible so that we don't have to use any at all. Now that that's done, we can weld in the new gutter and roof pieces and get her back in tip-top shape. Talking about tops, we just released some awesome ones on nextstoptouring.com.au, so go check them out, buy 1 or 5. Anyway, back to welding now. Obviously we have to weld it in at the joins, but the original gutter was also spot welded to the body for added strength. Since we don't have a spot welder, we'll be replicating this with plug welds, which involves drilling a hole about 6 or 7 mil wide to steel this thick, and filling it with weld. It's important to make sure that it penetrates the back piece as well, or there's not really point in doing it. Once everything is welded in, you need to grind it back to flat, or almost flat. Flat enough that all you need is high build primer, but not so flat that you risk digging into the car. That's why I'm using a flap disc, which is a bit more gentle. Once it's all ground down, clean it, sand it, and chuck some primer on the bare metal so it doesn't rust again. And voila, you've got a brand new roof. Almost. But the rest gets done when we're prepping for painting, so keep an eye out for that video. And don't forget to buy a shirt so we can afford the paint booth.